Easy rider, my friend, easy rider.
Uneasy rider.
Isn't it funny how just because you're in Bali on holidays, you suddenly think you know how to ride a motorbike?
Just want to try and get past this bozo.
There's no rush, is there?
Bali, Poxole of the Pacific, the world's largest tropical shopping mall and bucks turn. I agreed to stop off here for one reason, the promise of a drink at a pub with one of the world's most spectacular views. Back home we'd heard of the Sunset Bar, a tiny remote pub in Indonesia's Spice Islands. To enjoy that one drink, we would travel 1,000 kilometres east from Ubud in the hills of Bali by plane, bus and boat, past the man-eating dragons on the island of Komodo, and then to Labuan Bajo on Flores, one of the last outposts of a long-gone Portuguese empire.
Here we go. This guy comes highly recommended.
Yeah.
Right?
Where's the horn? That's all I care
The horn's over here near the indicators.
Beautiful. I won't be needing the indicators. I indicate on a need-to-know basis.
Good luck. Why am I thinking evil Knievel?
At home, the ponytail gave him all the majesty of a mobile phone salesman. But here he looked like yet another refugee from the hippie trail. Either way, Wilbur decided it was stinking hot and the long hair had to go.
Now, I've come a long way for this, man. I hear you're the best. OK. What have I got to choose from? Have a look at these guys.
Wonder where the crumple zone is on these things. Maybe I'm the crumple zone.
Welcome, everyone, sir.
I was headed for Gaday's Warung, an Indonesian shop cum pub. I'd been recommended to Gaday's because he keeps his bintangs on ice.
Thank you very much.
While I grilled Gaday about his shirt, should I ever need to be best man at a WOG wedding, Wilbur was briefing his hairdresser, Wayan.
Bring in the heavy artillery. That's the stuff. Beautiful. I hope you're taking this seriously, Wayan. I've got to wear this head.
Out of control, guys.
In the 25 years since I first came here, the monstrous tourist boom has brought fake tans and fake Rolexes. But the things that made Bali appealing back then can still be found. Most Balinese are Hindu. The Hindus' three major gods, it appeared to me, are Krishna, retail and sport. Mr. Wild, minus ponytail, paid his respects to one of the lesser gods, volleyball. I pointed out to Wilbur that at 6'5" he was like a Clydesdale amongst the Shetland ponies, an unfair advantage. He would do better to save his energy for shopping.
Okay. Yeah. What's for lunch?
Nothing all of a sudden.
A quick detour to the town's central market and we discovered that there is some real business in bananas, tapioca and of course Spice Island spices.
Will it work on mine?
But being dutiful tourists, we were there for the sunglasses and watches. We weren't buying watches, we were selling watches. I was confident that a red Simon's watch would attract a higher price than the Mickey Mouse Rolexes that they were selling.
Right. And Tim, very famous. Very famous.
How much you want to sell?
How much? 100.
100.
100,000.
I buy.
You buy? Fantastic. How much?
100 rupiah.
I did the arithmetic and discovered that 100 rupiah was 5 cents.
Doesn't matter.
100 rupees.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, you guys bartered really hard, man. I think you've hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
At least we have a shot, you know. Just a bit disappointed in that. Redders, come back, mate. Thank you.
According to my apparently worthless red Simon's watch, it was 4 in the morning. It was clearly time to retire.
Go down here.
To immerse yourself in the local culture, you could choose a homestay and live in a working Balinese village. But we wanted to experience the real Bali. So we checked into a 5-star hotel with air conditioning, a minibar and room service. Later that evening, Kupu Kupu Barong, where we stayed, put on a traditional Lagong dance, which tells the story of how pale-skinned Westerners travel vast distances to see 10-year-old Balinese girls play dress-ups and dance incomprehensibly to the music of panel beaters. Being pale-skinned Westerners, we inevitably finished the night gravitating towards the music that we and the Balinese had grown up with, black American jazz. The Jazz Cafe in Ubud is an eclectic mix of influences, pretty much none of which is jazz, but it's the kind of place where any travelling musician feels immediately at home. Musicians will say that you're only as good as your last gig, so we decided we'd better not stop just yet. Where we were going, there were only man-eating reptiles to play with, but after 25 years in rock and roll, that was nothing new. And besides, our journey would take us to a drink at the Sunset Bar, a pub too far. Bima, on the north coast of the island of Sumbawa, is an hour's flight east of Bali. Where Bali is relatively rich and Hindu, Sumbawa is predominantly poor and Muslim. Muslims are teetotalers. There'd be no point in looking for a pub here. We were due to sail out on our chartered ketch from Sape on Sumbawa's east coast, mid-afternoon. 2 hours on a bus is the only means to get there, but it's a good way to take in the local culture without getting your hands dirty. The journey up through the mountains is lined by teak trees with their peculiar giant leaves. The local villagers live in a version of luxury, in houses made of teak. Up here in the highlands, the locals dig up tapioca roots, tie them into small bundles, then mob passing buses in a bid to make the equivalent of 20 cents a piece. It's a tough way to make a living. Coming down from the mountains into Sape, we discovered the incredible vista that the Balinese artists must nowadays paint from memory. Down in the valley, it was time to face Mecca. The Sumbawanese spend their whole lives saving for a pilgrimage to Mecca. The journey costs $3,500 Australian dollars, or 100,000 tapioca roots. We pulled into Sape to find ourselves surrounded by miniature chariots, which the locals call Ben-Hurs. Sitting in Sape Harbour, our boat, the Parentis, looked spectacular. It had all the Hollywood appearance of a hard-working island trader, and at the same time concealed staterooms for lazy and spoilt Western tourists. Mr. Wilde and I were going to fit right in.
Oh, yeah. It'll do, I suppose. Whew.
After 8 hours of sailing, we edged towards the island of Komodo on dawn. Tales of tourists being taken by the fearsome Komodo dragon had created some apprehension about heading ashore.
Hi. You ever feel like you're walking into a trap?
While our guide from the Parentis, Jan, went on to smooth things over with the local parks authorities, we were besieged by the local pearl hawkers. sellers of the genuine Komodo pearl, imported directly from China.
Did I mention that these were my old school colours? That would have looked lovely at assembly.
Things weren't going quite to plan with Jan and the park's people. The voice over the radio from nearby Labuan Bajo said that despite the mountains of official paperwork we were carrying, we didn't have the appropriate permit to film on Komodo Island. Perhaps the appropriate paperwork was the kind that you find in your wallet.
Kalau tidak ada lagi, coba saya ke lantai 2 lagi nanti.
I talk a bit of pig. Hey, look, he's happy, Red. Wagging his tail.
I guess he would be happy living on a Muslim island.
While the local Muslims don't eat pigs, they've soon got their snouts in the trough when a foreign film crew turns up. After much negotiating, Jan at the head of the park settled on the payment of 1.2 million rupiah, a so-called deposit, which would be refunded to us on arrival in Labuan Bajo the following day. Funnily enough, we never did see that money again.
Don't do that.
Well,
our first sighting of the elusive Komodo dragon revealed a four-legged land shark made of ladies' handbags. This 1.5-year-old baby plodded down the beach like he owned the joint, which in fact he did.
You go first.
go. Good. He's only a little one.
Yeah.
Come on. I had a blue tongue bigger than that.
There are 3,500 dragons in the Komodo National Park. A dragon bite will cause septicemia because of the 4 different types of toxic bacteria living in their teeth. A pig or a water buffalo bitten by a dragon staggers away, sickens and dies anything up to 4 days later. Dental hygiene is a low priority for a 3-metre lizard which will eat its own dead.
How old's this one?
Less more than 25 years.
25 years old?
25 years old, yeah.
Fantastic.
We found another even larger dragon almost immediately and chased it along the path like paparazzi annoying a celebrity. You would expect a wild animal to seek refuge in the undergrowth, but the dragon knew he had nothing to fear from us.
Joke.
A Swiss baron, Rupert von Redding, really was chased by a dragon. 2 days later, all they found was a camera and a pair of binoculars.
Okay, circling around behind us, I'd be careful.
Our guide told us the locals are occasionally attacked, but rarely killed.
You go.
He said you have to be pretty stupid to be taken by a Komodo dragon.
He should be in here somewhere.
On our return to the ranger's office, a huge male Komodo had miraculously appeared. Presumably, he had turned up for his cut of the deposit.
How cool is that? Your old Komodo dragon.
Looks like Chopper Reed. He's got no ears.
We embarked on the last leg of our journey to Labuan Bajo and the soon-to-be world-famous Sunset Bar. We were planning to play a gig with some of the Parentis' crew.
You have to walk backwards when you're wearing flippers.
They're going to be so happy when we bring back tonight's dinner.
Despite some earlier optimism, our fellows had foreseen our fishing failure and prepared a beach barbecue, a bunch of bintangs and a beautiful ballad. They say that music is the universal language, At least I think that's what they said, but my hearing's a bit shot. Anyhow, we were going to need these guys when we got the band back together at the Sunset Bar. After an early morning cruise through the waters off the island of Flores, we finally arrived in Labuan Bajo Harbour. It's a bustling fishing port and a major ferry terminal. Despite the island being predominantly Christian, most of the town's population is Muslim. But Jan assures us there is definitely a pub in town. We figured we could pull an audience of backpackers, but first we had to find the Sunset Bar and set up for our coming triumph as the greatest karaoke band in the world.
Once upon a time, we would have been arriving in the limo after the road crew had already set up the instruments.
You see, you just put in a little extra effort for something a bit special, Brett. That's cool.
On arriving at the bar, we were told the owner, Mr. Winkler, Frank, not Henry, was in Bali, and there was a major hitch.
Oh, they said it's no problem to use
It's okay?
the bar.
Okay to use it?
The only problem
Right.
is the power.
There's no power.
There's no power tonight. Tapi bagaimana kalau kita punya generator sendiri?
Apparently, the power only runs every second night. We should have been here yesterday or tomorrow. So we asked Jan to go down the road to try and track down a generator.
Where are you going?
I'll head off downtown and have a look around.
Right. Okay.
I couldn't relax until everything was set up, but apparently Mr. Wild could.
Dig you later.
Hope you get malaria.
Labuan Bajo Harbour and a string of distant volcanoes. The health department would have closed this joint down in a flash, but you would die happy drinking here. The search for a generator was proving fruitless. When the power's out, everyone wants one. Funny, that. Meanwhile, Mr. Wild was introducing a Western sense of order to the Labuan Bajo Farmers Market. The market is for locals, so refreshingly, they tend to leave you alone. Twice a week, fruit and vegetables come from as far off as Sumbawa. There's plenty of fish and no refrigeration, so they're mostly dried. And they stink.
The market, different with our market.
Wilbur's guide for the day was when. Who? When? What is it with these guys and their names? In seconds, they were trapped in the world's oldest scam, the pea and cup game.
Okay, I'm going with the smart money. Okay, right out. No. I'm supposed to win first, then we double the bet and we do it. I kind of trusted them to be fair, but you can be assured I'll be having a chat with the relevant gaming authorities.
This is crazy gambling.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, really funny.
Great. Malaria.
While I conserved my energy at the bar, Jan had had some luck with the generator. Slight problem. It only ran 110 volts and the amplifier needed 240. But the boat's electrician, Zubair, was handy and we were confident he could improvise something. Cutting his losses, Mr. Wild journeyed on, up into the mountains above Labuan Bajo, to a village called Mello. Even the educated here on Flores admit to sacrificing the odd chicken. Mello was a Christian village, but they'd hung on to a few animist rituals, like the ancient sport called chachi, or the bullwhip dance. As the guest of honour, Mr. Wild made the perfect human sacrifice. The idea of the bullwhip dance is to draw blood from your opponent's face, and it's considered an insult not to give it your best shot. Back at the Sunset Bar, we were working frantically to organise the greatest karaoke band in the world.
Fantastic! Look at that view! That's gas.
Where have you been?
Oh, just mucking around, just having a look, you know, nothing special.
It was only later that I realised Wilbur had been off gambling, drinking and fighting.
Fellas, fantastic.
Just when it was beginning to look like nothing could go wrong, the generator blew out all the power boards. And as the big generator in the sky started to sink, there were a few doubts as to whether or not the gig would go ahead.
How's that? Is that right?
Yeah.
Two guys walk into a bar.
And it burns down.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, nice. You guys coming in? Come
But
on.
with the gods smiling down upon us, nothing was going to stop us. The Parentis crew joined us on stage and we were underway.
All right, Charlie, beautiful. Love one Bajo, our final destination.
We did it. Like Dr. Livingstone bringing Christianity to Africa, like Cortez bringing smallpox to the Aztecs, we had come to Labuan Bajo, bringing a garbled message from John Denver. Indonesia, Mega Mama, Country Road.
Country road, take me home.
A capacity crowd at the Sunset Bar, 15 people. It didn't matter. We had the house record.
Indonesia, Mega Mama, take me home. Country road. Thank you very much. Be sure to tip your waiting staff. All right. Guys, you were fantastic. Congratulations, fellas. Parentis crew. All right, thank you.